Questions. My dear friends, today I want to begin with a simple question. How many times has someone ruined your day without even knowing it? Questions. Someone says something rude, someone cuts you off in traffic, someone ignores your message, someone throws a little disrespect, and suddenly your peace is gone, your mood is gone. Questions. And your entire day becomes like a mobile phone stuck at 2% battery. But tell me, why do we give so much power to people who don't even know what they are doing? Questions. Today's topic is not just about controlling anger. It is about mastering something far more valuable, the art of not letting anyone rent space in your mind for free. Questions. So let's begin with a small story. Once, a monk was sweeping the floor of his ashram. A young man came rushing in and shouted, "Swami ji, people irritate me so much. They talk nonsense." Questions. They behave badly and they make me angry. The monk smiled and said, "My son, if someone throws garbage at you..." Questions. Do you carry it home and decorate your living room with it? Then why, the monk asked, do you carry the garbage that people throw at you into your heart and mind? And that questions. My friends, is the secret of this talk. Don't carry what people throw at you. Develop your inner strength so much that no one can disturb your peace. We expect maturity, understanding, questions, and kindness from people who may still be learning the alphabet of life. A child pushes another child and we forgive, but when an adult does the same, we get angry. Remember this. Questions. People do not treat you according to who you are. They treat you according to what's going on inside them. So when someone behaves badly, don't think, what's wrong with me? Ask instead questions. What's going on with them? Empathy dissolves anger. If you wait for the world to behave perfectly for you to stay peaceful, you will wait forever. Questions. Life is not a remote control where you can mute the annoying people. But you do have a remote control. It's called your response. As the saying goes, pain is certain. Questions. Reaction is optional. When someone criticizing you doesn't define you, it defines them. If someone calls you stupid, it doesn't mean you are stupid. It means they are feeling frustrated. Questions. Angry or insecure, why take their emotional garbage personally? One of the most peaceful skills is learning to say internally, this is not mine. If you lose your passport at the airport, questions, you panic because you know its value. But when someone attacks your peace, we just give it away like cheap flyers on the street. Your peace is more valuable than your passport. Guard it. Questions. When you feel anger rising, pause. When you feel insulted, pause. When someone sends a triggering message, pause. A pause is a spiritual shock absorber. Questions. Even a 2-second pause can save a 2-hour argument or a 2-day silent treatment. Every situation has two sides, the external event and the internal reaction. When someone irritates you, questions. Step back mentally and observe. Interesting, look at how my mind wants to react, but I don't have to go with it. This tiny observation gives you power over your emotions. Questions. Just like you go to the gym to develop physical muscles, life gives you difficult people to develop emotional muscles. If everyone was sweet and perfect, you would never grow patience, forgiveness, questions, or maturity. In fact, difficult people are spiritual trainers. They don't charge fees, but they definitely give training. Some people complain, questions. Why is this happening to me? But wise people ask, what is this teaching me? Shift your attention from the problem to the lesson. In that moment, anger dissolves automatically. Questions. When you get angry, you lose clarity. But when you stay calm, you gain power. You think better, you speak better, you act better, and most importantly, you protect your peace. Questions. A calm mind is not a weak mind. It is a trained mind. It is impossible, absolutely impossible, to stay angry and grateful at the same time. Questions. Gratitude shifts your energy from irritation to appreciation. Instead of focusing on who annoyed you today, focus on who supported you today. That shift alone protects your emotional state. Questions. My dear friends, you cannot stop people from being rude. You cannot control every situation. You cannot change everyone's behavior. But you can change one thing. Questions. How much space you allow them to occupy inside you. Don't let random strangers decide your mood. Don't let small minds steal your big peace. Questions. And don't let anyone's behavior disturb the beautiful world within you. Remember this takeaway: master your mind, and no one else can master your mood. Thank you. Stay peaceful. Stay strong. Questions. And most importantly, don't let anyone bother your beautiful inner world. Questions. Have you ever wondered why two people can react completely different to the same situation? One person remains calm, composed, and thoughtful, while the other explodes like popcorn in hot oil. Questions. The difference is not in the situation. The difference is in their awareness, their understanding, their emotional maturity. And when we understand this simple truth, questions, something magical begins to happen inside us. We stop taking people's behavior so personally. Imagine you are walking on the street and a small child accidentally bumps into you. Questions. Will you get angry? No. You might even smile and say, "It's okay, beta, careful next time." Why? Because you understand the child's awareness level. A child doesn't know better. Questions. But if an adult bumps into you and doesn't even apologize, suddenly the volcano inside you starts trembling. But what if I told you adults also behave from their level of awareness? Questions. Which may sometimes be as undeveloped as that child. The only difference is that the child looks like a child and the adult just looks like an adult. Let me give you a simple example from daily life. Questions. Suppose you're driving peacefully, listening to your favorite music, enjoying the breeze. Suddenly someone cuts you off without a signal. Your first reaction is irritation, maybe even anger. Questions. You are tempted to shout, "What's wrong with this person?" But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what level of awareness this person operating from right now? Perhaps they are stressed. Questions. Perhaps they are late for something important. Perhaps they never learned proper road etiquette. Or perhaps they are simply not mindful. And if someone is operating from a lower level of awareness, questions, shouldn't your response come from a higher level? If you let their behavior pull you down, then who is the real driver of your emotions? You or the other person? Now think about these questions. When a toddler scribbles on the wall, we get annoyed at the mess, but we don't scream at the child. We simply understand. They don't know better yet. But the moment an adult makes a mistake, questions, we instantly assume they should know better. And while this assumption is partly true, it is not always realistic. Everyone grows physically with age, questions, but emotionally people grow at very different speeds. Some people are 40-year-olds with the emotional awareness of a 10-year-old. Some are teenagers with the maturity of wise elders. Questions. Awareness is not a standard measure like height or weight. It develops at its own pace. Let's talk about workplace life. Imagine you worked hard on a presentation. Questions. You put your heart and effort into it, and your colleague sarcastically criticizes it, not because it's bad, but because they feel insecure or jealous. At that moment, your anger rises. Questions. But if you understand that their reaction comes from insecurity, a lower awareness, you stop feeling attacked. You begin to see the situation for what it truly is. Questions. Their negativity is a reflection of their inner struggles, not your capability. Think about your home environment. Sometimes someone says something hurtful. Questions. Maybe a family member snaps at you or a friend responds rudely. The immediate impulse is to think, why are they talking to me like that? But if you look deeper, you may realize they are tired. Questions. Stressed, emotionally burdened, or dealing with problems you have no idea about. Their outburst has nothing to do with you. It is simply an overflow of their inner chaos. Questions. A wise person understands this. A wise person knows that people speak and act from the level of awareness they possess at that moment. And awareness is influenced by upbringing, experiences, traumas, questions, education, emotional intelligence, mental health, and sometimes even the smallest daily frustrations. This perspective changes everything. The moment you understand this key point, questions, you stop absorbing negativity. You stop feeling hurt by random people. You stop burning your peace because of someone else's immaturity. Instead, questions, you begin to see people just as they are. Humans with different levels of understanding, each trying to navigate life based on what they currently know. Let me share another everyday example. Questions. Imagine you are in a long queue and someone cuts in front of you. Before reacting, think, are they rushing because of urgency? Are they unaware of the queue? Or are they simply impatient? Questions. Their behavior shows their awareness level. Your response shows yours. And when your awareness is high, you stop expecting perfect behavior from imperfect people. Questions. You stop expecting emotional intelligence from emotionally immature people. You stop expecting calmness from chaotic people. This doesn't mean you accept disrespect. Questions. It simply means you don't react emotionally. You respond wisely. You maintain your peace. You handle the situation from clarity, not anger. Questions. Just like a teacher doesn't get angry when a student makes mistakes, because the teacher understands the student's awareness, you too start handling people with more maturity. Questions. You start realizing that everyone is on their own journey of emotional growth. Some are beginners, some are intermediate, some are advanced. Questions. And you cannot expect beginner level people to behave like experts. Once this understanding enters your heart, irritation naturally decreases. Patience naturally increases. Questions. Compassion becomes effortless. And most importantly, you stop letting other people's behavior disturb your inner world. Because now you know people act from their level of awareness, not yours. Questions. One of the greatest sources of frustration in our lives is the silent expectation we carry. Questions. People should behave the way I want. But life has a very humorous way of reminding us that this expectation is unrealistic. You cannot control how people speak, how they behave, how they think, questions, or how they react. But you can always control what you choose to do next. Let's start with a simple truth. If you wait for the whole world to behave perfectly so you can remain peaceful, questions, you will be waiting your entire life. The world will never be perfectly aligned with your preferences, but your mind can be. Imagine you're having a wonderful morning. You woke up in a good mood, questions, enjoyed your coffee and everything seems smooth. Suddenly someone says something rude or dismissive. Immediately your mood drops. And you think, questions, why did they ruin my day? But pause for a moment. Did they really ruin your day, or did your reaction to them ruin it? Our peace is not stolen, we hand it away. Questions. Think of it like holding a remote control. You would never hand over your TV remote to a stranger and let them flip through channels randomly. But emotionally, we often do exactly that. Questions. Someone makes a careless comment and suddenly they are controlling your emotional channel. They switch you from calm to angry, from happy to irritated, from confident to doubtful. Questions. Why give your emotional remote to someone who doesn't even know what they're doing? Now let's bring this into a daily life example. Imagine you are in traffic. Questions. A driver behind you keeps honking unnecessarily. You start feeling irritated. You think, why is he honking? What's his problem? But ask yourself, can you control his honking? No. Questions. You cannot reach into his car and reduce his impatience. You cannot calm his mind. But you can calm your own. Questions. Anger in this situation is like trying to control the noise outside by shouting louder inside your own house. It simply doesn't work. The honking won't stop. The traffic won't disappear. Questions. But your inner disturbance will grow. Or you can take a breath and remind yourself, I can't control his horn, but I can control my peace. Let's take another scenario. Questions. You send someone a message and they take hours to reply, or worse, they leave you on scene. Immediately your mind begins to create stories. They're ignoring me. Questions. They don't value me. But what if their phone battery died? What if they're busy? What if they're dealing with something personal? You cannot control the timing of their reply. Questions. But you can control how you interpret the situation. Most misunderstandings begin because we try to control things we shouldn't. At work, this principle becomes even more powerful. Questions. Suppose you present an idea in a meeting and someone criticizes it harshly. Your ego feels attacked, you feel disrespected. But instead of reacting emotionally, imagine responding with clarity. Questions. Thank you for your input. Can you help me understand what specifically needs improvement? Suddenly, the power shifts. You're not reacting, you're responding. You're not emotional. Questions. You're composed. The other person loses control over your state of mind, and you regain your inner authority. Children are another beautiful example. If a child throws a tantrum, questions, you don't throw one back. You remain patient because you understand their control is limited. You guide them gently. But with adults, we forget this. Questions. We assume everyone has full control over their behavior. They don't. Many people are living on autopilot, reacting from stress, ego, fear, or insecurity. Questions. If you make your peace dependent on their behavior, your peace will always be fragile. Let's understand another deep truth. Reaction is instinctive. Response is chosen. Questions. A reaction happens automatically, but a response is created consciously. When someone pushes your emotional buttons, you have two options. Let the reaction take over. Pause, breathe, questions, and respond wisely. That microsecond of awareness, that tiny pause, is the birthplace of emotional mastery. It is where anger dissolves and wisdom appears. Think of life as a movie. Questions. You cannot control what scenes come. Drama, comedy, chaos, romance, they all appear. But you can control how you choose to watch it. Do you panic during every intense scene? Questions. Or do you watch it with awareness, knowing it's just a part of the larger story? Let's go deeper with one final example. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. Questions. Someone accidentally bumps into you and water spills out. Now ask yourself, why did water spill? Because someone pushed you? No. Water spilled because water was inside the glass. Questions. If juice was inside, juice would spill. If tea was inside, tea would spill. Similarly, when life bumps you, whatever is inside you spills out. If anger is inside, anger spills. If peace is inside, questions, peace spills. The external bump is not in your control, but what you fill yourself with, that is in your control. So the real question is not, how do I control others? The real question is, questions, what am I carrying inside me? You may not control the world outside, but you can absolutely shape the world inside. And the day you learn to control your response, you become powerful. Not loud, questions, not aggressive, not dominating, but truly powerful. Because real power is not the ability to control people. Real power is the ability to control yourself when people cannot control themselves. Questions. And that, my friends, is how you protect your peace in a world that may not always behave the way you want. Questions. If there is one habit that can save you from unnecessary suffering, protect your peace, and make you emotionally resilient, it is this: stop taking things personally. Questions. Most of the hurt we carry is not from what people did, but from what we interpreted they did. Our mind creates stories, assumptions, judgments, questions, and emotional conclusions based on someone else's behavior, even though that behavior often has nothing to do with us. Let's begin with a simple question. Questions. When someone says something rude or insensitive, why does it hurt so much? Is it because what they said is the absolute truth? Or is it because we assumed it was about us? In reality, questions. Most people speak from their own emotions, not from yours. Their words reflect their inner world, not your worth. But we forget this. We attach meaning to every tone, every comment, every gesture. Questions. This is why people get upset over small things: a late reply, a harsh tone, a judgmental look, a sarcastic remark. The problem is not the remark, it is our belief that it was meant to attack us. Questions. Imagine this: you walk into your office one morning, you greet everyone cheerfully, but one colleague doesn't respond. Immediately your mind starts working overtime. Did I do something wrong? Questions. Are they angry with me? Did I offend them yesterday? But what if I told you they simply had a headache, or their child was sick, or they had a stressful morning? Most of the time, questions. People's behavior reflects their condition, not your mistake. Let's take another scenario. You send a long message to a friend, questions, and they respond with just okay. Your mind automatically interprets it as coldness, disrespect, or indifference. But what if they were in a meeting? What if they were driving? Questions. What if they were overwhelmed with their own problems? When we take it personally, we damage relationships unnecessarily. When we understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, questions, we build peace inside and outside. Here's a powerful example from real life. Imagine you are walking down the street and a stranger shouts something rude. Now tell me, do you take it personally? Questions. Usually not. Why? Because you don't know the stranger. You don't care about their opinion. You assume they might be unstable or having a bad day. But when someone you know says something rude, questions, you take it deeply personally. Why? Because you attach meaning to their words. The problem is not the words, it's the meaning you added. Now think about this: questions. If someone hands you a gift and you don't accept it, who does the gift belong to? The giver. Similarly, if someone gives you anger, criticism, insults, or rudeness, and you don't accept it, questions, who does it belong to? Again, the giver. You don't have to take everything that people throw at you. You are free to let it pass. Look at children. They can say something silly or insensitive, questions, but we don't get offended. Why? Because we don't take their words personally. We understand their emotional immaturity. Questions. But adults also act from emotional immaturity. The difference is that adults look grown up on the outside. On the inside, many people are still learning, still wounded, still insecure. Questions. When someone snaps at you, it is often their stress speaking, not their heart. When someone criticizes you unfairly, it's often their insecurity speaking, not truth. When someone avoids you, questions, it's often their personal struggle, not your fault. Let me share a powerful analogy. Imagine someone throws a stone into a lake, and the lake becomes disturbed for a while. But after some time, questions, it settles on its own, because the lake does not take the stone personally. Now imagine someone throws the same stone at a beehive. Questions. The reaction is immediate and explosive because the hive takes everything personally. The stone wasn't meant specifically for the hive, but the hive reacts as if it was a personal attack. In life, questions, be like the lake, not the beehive. If a person is rude to you today, it's very possible they were rude to someone else yesterday, and they will be rude to someone else tomorrow. Questions. So why take it personally? Their behavior is not targeted at you. It is simply part of who they are right now. If someone has a habit of being negative, questions, then their negativity is not about you. It is simply their nature. If someone is constantly complaining, fault finding, or criticizing, then they will criticize anyone in front of them. Questions. It just happened to be you this time. A wise monk once said, when a flower blooms, even the passerby benefits from its fragrance. When a person is disturbed, questions, even the passerby suffers from their darkness. So don't make it about you. Don't make their wound your wound. Let's take another everyday example. Questions. Suppose you walk into a shop and the cashier is rude. Most people think, why is he behaving like this with me? But pause. Do you really think he woke up thinking? Questions. Today I will ruin your day. Most likely he's dealing with stress, exhaustion, or personal struggle. Your presence in that moment only triggered what was already inside you. Questions. When you stop taking things personally, you begin to live with incredible freedom. You no longer get offended by small things. Your mood stops depending on other people's moods. Questions. You stop giving strangers the power to control your emotions. You begin to respond from clarity, not from emotional hurt. You begin to forgive more easily. You begin to let go faster. Questions. And most importantly, you protect your inner peace like a treasure. The world becomes so much lighter when you realize that most people's words are reflections of their inner climate. Questions, not judgments of your worth. And the moment you stop taking things personally, you stop suffering unnecessarily, because the truth is simpler. What people say is about them. Questions. What you believe is about you. Questions. Imagine you are standing in a busy airport, suitcase in hand, ready to board a flight for your dream destination. Suddenly someone bumps into you and your passport falls. You panic. Questions. Your heartbeat rises. You immediately pick it up, check it again and again, secure it properly, and make sure it doesn't leave your hand even for a second. Why? Because you know its importance. Questions. Without it, you cannot travel. Without it, your journey stops. Without it, you feel lost in a foreign environment. Now think about this, your inner peace is far more valuable than your passport. Questions. Yet you guard your passport more carefully than your peace. For a lost passport, you will run around, file complaints and stay alert. Questions. But when someone steals your peace with a few careless words or actions, you simply hand it over without resistance. We don't realize how precious our peace is until it gets disturbed. Questions. Let's imagine a typical day. You wake up peacefully, ready for a fresh start. Then suddenly, someone at home says something harsh. Your peace drops. You go to work and a colleague behaves rudely. Questions. Your peace drops again. Then someone cuts you off in traffic, your peace drops further. By the end of the day, you feel emotionally exhausted, not because the world was unusually harsh. Questions, but because you allowed every external event to snatch away small pieces of your peace. You know what happens when you keep losing your passport? Your journey gets delayed, you get stressed. Questions, and your plans are affected. Similarly, when you keep losing your peace, your mental journey, your emotional stability, and your life goals get affected. Think about your phone. Questions. You protect it with password locks, back covers, tempered glass. Why? Because it's valuable and you don't want it to get damaged. But how much protection do you give your mental state? Questions. How many layers of emotional security do you build? Most people build zero. That's why a small comment can shatter them. Your peace is like the battery of your phone. Without charge. Questions. Every app crashes. Relationships, career, focus, joy, health. When your peace drains, everything else drains with it. So protecting your peace is not selfish, it is essential. Questions. Let me give you a real life example. Suppose you're at a family gathering, enjoying yourself. Suddenly a relative criticizes your job, your looks, or your lifestyle. Questions. If you don't protect your peace, you immediately absorb the negativity. You spend the whole evening feeling low, even though the gathering was supposed to bring joy. Questions. One careless sentence stole your happiness. But if you guard your peace like your passport, the moment someone throws negativity, you tell yourself, this comment belongs to them. Questions. Not me. And you continue enjoying your evening. Another everyday example, you're online scrolling through social media. Someone leaves a negative comment on your post. Questions. If you don't protect your peace, that one comment ruins your mood for the entire day. You reread it again and again. You start doubting yourself. But what is this person's role in your life? Questions. Nothing. And yet you let them hold your emotional passport. Your peace is too precious to be shaken by people who don't matter. Let's talk about relationships. Sometimes questions. The people we love unintentionally hurt us. A partner forgets something important. A friend cancels a plan. A family member speaks in a tone that triggers you. If your peace is unprotected, questions, you take everything personally and react emotionally. But if your peace is secure, you respond from calmness, not chaos. Questions. You begin to understand that people's behavior reflects their mood in that moment, not your worth. Protecting peace does not mean avoiding people. Questions. It does not mean isolating yourself or being emotionless. It simply means choosing not to let anyone's behavior decide your emotional climate. Imagine your mind is a house. Questions. Will you allow every random person to enter, dirty your floors, break your furniture, and leave? No, you would lock the door. But emotionally, we leave the door wide open. Questions. Anyone's rude comment can enter and create a mess inside. When you protect your peace, you install an emotional lock. Only positivity, wisdom, and meaningful thoughts are allowed to enter. Questions. Negativity can knock on your door, but it cannot walk in without your permission. Let's take a practical analogy. Suppose you are carrying a cup full of hot tea and someone bumps into you. Questions. The tea spills and burns you. Was the burn caused by the bump or the tea? It was caused by the tea, what you were carrying. Similarly, when life bumps you, whatever is inside you spills out. Questions. If you carry anger, anger spills. If you carry peace, peace spills. Protecting your peace means choosing what you fill your inner cup with. When you guard your peace like your passport. Questions. You become very selective about what you absorb. You start ignoring unnecessary drama. You stop responding to every provocation. You avoid arguments that go nowhere. You let go faster. Questions. You forgive lighter. And you walk away from situations that threaten your mental health. And here's the most powerful thing. When you protect your peace, your clarity increases. Questions. Your confidence increases. Your quality of life improves dramatically. Because the calmer your mind, the stronger your decisions. Questions. Your peace is your emotional passport. It allows you to travel through life gracefully, calmly, wisely. Don't misplace it. Don't hand it to strangers. Questions. Don't let anyone stamp it with negativity. Guard it, value it, cherish it. Because once you master this, no one, absolutely no one, can disturb your inner world. Questions. Imagine a pressure cooker on the stove. As the heat rises, pressure builds inside. If you keep the flame high and refuse to release the steam, the cooker will burst. Questions. But with a gentle pause, a tiny lift of the whistle, the entire situation becomes safe, manageable, and calm. Our mind works exactly the same way. Life constantly heats us with situations, questions, arguments, deadlines, traffic, misunderstandings, rude comments, unexpected challenges. And if we react instantly, without pausing, our emotions burst out in ways we later regret. Questions. A pause is not a delay, it is a form of emotional intelligence, a tiny but powerful act of self-control that protects your peace, your relationships, and your dignity. Questions. Think about the last time you reacted instantly in anger. Maybe you said something hurtful. Maybe you snapped at someone who didn't deserve it. Maybe you sent a message you wish you could unsend. Questions. In that moment, your emotions were driving the vehicle of your mind at full speed. The pause acts like a brake. Just a little pressure on the brake can prevent a huge accident. Questions. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine you are driving and someone cuts aggressively in front of you. Your first impulse is to honk loudly or shout inside your car. Questions. But if you pause, even for 2 seconds, a different thought arises. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Even if they aren't, that pause saves your peace. Questions. It prevents unnecessary stress over something you cannot control. It transforms a heated reaction into a calm response. The power of pausing is like a magic filter. Before the pause, questions. You see everything emotionally. After the pause, you see everything clearly. Another situation, you are at home and someone speaks to you in a harsh tone. Without pausing, you snap back. Questions. Why are you talking to me like that? Suddenly, a small issue becomes a big argument. Emotions rise, peace disappears, and the whole house becomes tense. Questions. But with a pause, just a few seconds, you give your mind the space to decode the situation. You might think, questions. Maybe they're tired, or maybe they didn't mean it the way it sounded. And your response becomes softer, calmer, and more understanding. That pause doesn't just save you questions, it saves the relationship too. Let's look at a text message scenario. Someone sends you a rude or sarcastic message. Without pausing, you type an angry reply. But if you pause, breathe, questions. Wait a few minutes, something incredible happens. The emotional storm inside you settles. You reread the message with fresher eyes, and sometimes you realize you misunderstood the tone. Questions. Sometimes you realize they were joking. Sometimes you realize they weren't even rude. It was just your mood reading the message negatively. Questions. The pause saved you from an unnecessary fight and unnecessary pain. In the workplace, the power of pausing becomes even more important. Suppose your boss criticizes your work. Questions. Your first instinct is to feel attacked and defensive. Without pausing, you may reply rudely, resign emotionally, or even doubt your self-worth. But a pause helps you shift your perspective. Questions. Instead of reacting from ego, you respond from professionalism. You ask questions. You seek clarity, you learn. You grow. The pause transforms criticism into wisdom. The pause is not weakness. Questions. It is one of the strongest things you can practice. Let's understand why pausing works so beautifully. When something triggers you, questions, your emotions rise instantly. Like a matchstick catching fire the moment it is struck. The pause gives your intelligence time to catch up. Emotions are fast, wisdom is slow. Questions. The pause connects the two. It bridges the gap between feeling and thinking. Let me give you a powerful real-life analogy. Imagine you are holding a glass of muddy water. If you shake it continuously, questions, the water remains cloudy. But if you pause and let it sit still, the mud settles and the water becomes clear. Similarly, when you pause, the mental mud settles. Your thoughts become clearer. Questions, your decisions become wiser. Here's another example. A friend says something that hurts you. Immediate reaction. How could they say that? But with a pause, you might discover questions. Maybe they were joking. Maybe you misheard. Maybe they were upset about something else. Maybe it wasn't even directed at you. The pause protects your heart from unnecessary burden. Questions. Parents often struggle with this. A child misbehaves and the parent reacts instantly, shouting or scolding. Later, the parent feels guilty. Questions. But when a parent pauses, even for a few seconds, they respond with patience and guidance instead of anger. That pause shapes the child's emotional world. Questions. It creates a nurturing environment instead of a fearful one. Even spiritual practices highlight the importance of pausing. Meditation is ultimately a long pause. Deep breathing is a short pause. Questions. Silence is a powerful pause. Nature itself teaches us pausing. The sunrise pauses before fully rising. The waves pause before breaking. The seasons pause before shifting. Questions. Pausing is built into the rhythm of life. When you learn to pause, you break the chain reaction that leads to regret. Questions. You give yourself space to choose your next move instead of being controlled by impulses. Remember, a pause is not a sign of fear. It's a sign of strength. It's the space where wisdom enters. Questions. It's the gap where peace is protected. It's the moment where emotional maturity is born. Mastering the pause means mastering yourself. And once you master yourself, no one, No situation, questions, no comment, no chaos can control your peace.